Hi heathens! That was a really loud truck. I apologize. So for today's video, as you can tell from the title, we are going to be doing the same thing as my last video, but this one is going to be a full face of high-end beauty products, holiday glam. So without further ado, we're going to get right on in, and we are going to start with this look for sure with the eyes, because this look is probably going to have a little more fallout than the last look. At least that's what I am anticipating. So we're going to be starting with the Ace Beauty Vintage Dawn palette. I have a few of these palettes from this brand and they are stunning. So what I'm going to be doing first is building up my, crease as normal with this palette. And I'm going to actually be using the green shade down here, Cactus. And we're just going to get right on in. So I was going to put on a little lip balm because my lips do not look the best, but I couldn't exactly find a high-end lip balm. Also, I apologize if you see little specks of glitter still on my face. They persisted through a double cleanse, a shower, and I just cannot get them to go away. It's from my last video, so please bear with me on that front. There's not a whole lot I can do there, unfortunately. But it's just little bits and pieces. I see a few under my eye here and under my eye here. So we're just gonna pretend they're not there. But like I said, I am taking this shade Cactus and just building it up into the crease. And that is what is going to be our primary and transitional shade for this look, at least for this eye look. And the reason that I did not go ahead and put on primer for this one like I did with the last one is since I anticipate this to have more fallout, I don't want it to accidentally stick to the primer because that would not be ideal. Trying to figure out why that side looks so much more even, so we're just going to try to even them out a little bit more. I think this is such a pretty green shade. It's got like a hunter green olive combinational look, and to me it's just so appealing. It's like this grungy green, but I feel like it's going to be good for this look because we're going to be covering up part of it with other colors. And as always, one eye looks better than the other, but as is my life. So that's what we're going with for that. And then we're going to go ahead and start adding in the other colors. So what I'm going to do on the exterior is actually same palette, take a flat brush, and I'm going to be dipping into this red shimmer called Gleam. My nose itches. Get a good bit of that on here, and then I'm going to spritz that with my setting spray, well, my mist. I don't think technically this is classified as a setting spray, but we'll be using it again later for setting the face. And I'm going to be building this along the outer half of the eye. And I'm using a brush first, which I normally don't do because I want to get the right shape along this corner so that it's not completely, haphazard across my lid. And then same thing on the other side, just the outer half. And I'm trying to build like a cut crease shape here without actually going through the hassle of doing a full cut crease. I'm just making sure they're about the same shape and distance into the eye. Then I'm going to bring it up a little higher so that it actually connects to that crease. and making sure it goes into my lash line. There's a fly that I can see right out of the corner of my eye. It's very distracting. He's climbing up my windowsill. Alright, jumping into the next palette for the next shade is the Violet Voss Best Life palette. So you've got all these glitters on the top, and then a combination of like matte and shimmers and glitters. We're going to be going in with the shade Money. And I'm going to use this, you know what, let's just use the same brush. Let's give it a little cleanse. That is the same truck that drove by a minute ago. Oh, good God. If that palette falls, it's shattering. So let's put that somewhere else. Because those top glitters are not exactly the most tightly packed. So I know if that hits the ground or hits the top of my trash can, I'm just losing all those glitters. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to tap in shade Money here. It is a bit blue for what I want, but we're gonna give it a go and see if we need to reassess. So I've got it here on the brush, and we're just going to, it's a bit more blue than I wanted, but that's okay. We're gonna just do the same thing we did with that red shade, but on the inner half of the eye. This still works for what I want. I just wanted to make sure it was brighter on the inner corner, because we're going to be putting something else over it anyway. So I just need it to have a greenish undertone. By the way, I'm not adding setting spray to this one, and it's still performing quite well with a brush, but it could be because I'm using the same brush, and it may still just have some setting spray still left on it. So, you know, do with that information what you will, but worth noting, I'm not adding additional setting spray. Let me put it that way. And this is when I hate my eyebrows being uneven, because this side, the shadow is obviously so much higher than on the other eye. So I have more room between the top of this and where my green ends. Alright, so we're going to go back into that green. Speaking of, I'm just going to take what's left on the brush and rebuild over the tops. This eye doesn't need it quite as much as the other one, but alright, now we're going to go ahead and go in with the other shade. I'm going to use the same brush, not cleaning it, and I'm going to be tapping into the shade, oh gosh, the gold shade over here, Friends. Again, same brush, just gently tapping in. Seems like this one's a little more densely packed. It's just shoving it to the end of the brush, which I do not like. So I am going to see about using a little more of that mist and see if I can't grab a little bit more. It seems like it's alright. We're just going to tap that over this bluish green to give gold reflex over the top. Do you see that one patch that just kind of laid down and now won't blend? That's so much fun. Oh, I love that. That's sarcasm. Talking about it like just sitting and not moving. See if I can't gently take my nail and drag it around. Yeah, that helped a little. So be cautious with this shade, guys. It appears that it does not want to play as nicely with a brush. So now that I've got it kind of down on that eye, like you can see it's much more sparse. I'm going to take my finger and just gently pat, because I don't want to completely cover the green, but I want it to have a much more festive holiday-esque look. I don't know if that even makes any sense. And we're just gonna clean it up again a little bit with this shading brush. All right, now we're gonna clean up around all of that so that I can go into the complexion, and then we will finish off the eyes once complexion is completed. So getting a little makeup wipe here, and I'm just cleaning right here under the eye where it went, where it wasn't supposed to go. And then let's see if I have it all. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, so now we're going straight into complexion. I'm going to put that makeup wipe over there. And for primer, for this high-end look, I'm going to be using the Farsali Unicorn Essence, because as I said in my last video, Christmas looks to me tend to be just a little more glowy than they are matte on average. Or not even Christmas, but holiday in general. That it applies to New Year's Eve as well. This stuff smells so freaking good. Like, I don't know that I would repurchase it at full price, but I would 100% jump on it if it was on sale. Alright, so for foundation, we're going to be using one of my all-time favorite foundations that I typically only use for like special occasions because I love the way it looks and I don't want to use it all up. It is the Becca Ultimate Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. I have mine in the shade Linen. So we're going to roll up the sleeves here so it doesn't get on my lovely sweater. And we are going to pump some out onto the back of my hand. Alright, we're going to see if that's enough. It was kind of an awkward pump, like it didn't want to come out, so I'm going to do like I always do. Take it, spread it out a little bit on my hand, then take what's on my finger, and we're going to do one side at a time. I do have to be kind of careful with this foundation because it can sit a little funny in certain areas of my face if I'm not careful. Also, I said this during the last video, I'm not worrying about the brushes being high-end or drugstore because I don't exactly have a balanced enough mix of brushes to be able to do that. So this is a BH Cosmetics face brush, but that's okay. It's more about the makeup, and I think at the end of the day, a brush is a brush. And there's only a few brushes that I've seen that probably, you know, perform a little better. Or, you know, some of the cheaper ones obviously don't perform quite as well. But on average, if you have a decent quality brush, it's going to do the same thing regardless of where it came from. So it is doing that thing that I was talking about. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera, where it does look a little heavy across my cheeks. The very first time I wore it, it did that, but then as the day goes on, it starts to warm up and winds up looking incredible, which, I mean, I think it looks fine right now, and the color match is so nice, but just something to keep in mind, because I'm not sure if it's my skin type, or if it's just, you know, in general, the foundation until it warms up. I'm not sure if that's an issue everyone has. I'm just not sure. But it is something I noticed with my own skin, regardless what primer I've used or my method of application, you know, brush, sponge, this brush, that brush, this sponge, that sponge. I feel like I'm Dr. Seuss. But, and hair in my eye. Just something to note. And my cheeks tend to be normal to oily, and between my eyebrows is very dry, which You can see it sitting a little strange there. But again, as the day goes on, in theory that should warm up, because that's what happened the first time I wore it. And then the few, hasn't been many, the few times I've worn it since, I haven't put much thought into where it sits weird, because I know as the day goes on it gets better, and it always has. So, oops. So it's something you're just gonna have to look over on me for just a second. Alright, so that's about how much foundation I have left on my hand from that awkward pump and a half. I don't really know, so we're gonna get all that off so it doesn't get all over everything. And then we're gonna go ahead and set the face. So I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier powder and the little Laura Mercier puff. Oh man, I forgot about concealer. We're gonna go into concealer real quick because I have the Pretty Vulgar Little White Lies concealer. I like using this before foundation, which is the only reason I'm kind of sad, but has a nice little slanted doe foot. We're gonna put a little here, a little here, a little here, a little here. This concealer has like a slightly peachy undertone. I'm so sad that I'm doing this after foundation. I know that's how most people use concealer, so it's not that big a deal, but that's not how I prefer to use concealer. And it's just a little strange to me, because when I do use concealer, I tend to use it under my foundation. But see? This foundation, or this concealer, I mean the foundation's really nice too, but this concealer is actually really nice. When I first got it, because this came in a BoxyCharm, I was afraid that it was going to be too big, oh my gosh, I cannot talk, and it hasn't even been a long day yet. It's like 1 in the afternoon. I thought it was going to be too dark, and then I used it, and it just blends out so nice, and that like peach undertone does actually help with, you know, going against dark circles. Now, I'm going to use the Laura Mercier setting powder, and I'm going to try to set it up here, and I'm just taking it, like I said, on the puff, and we're just going to pat that in, particularly over the areas where we're about to try to blend other products. I'm going to take a little more concentrated bit to go up here under my eyes, and we're going to do it again on the other side. This is a foundation that I actually do like to set. Some of my foundations I don't, but I don't like to set it too heavy. I just find that as, you know, those oils warm up and try to even out the foundation in those awkward areas, it does help to have it set so that I don't get too oily. But from what I've seen, it seems like this foundation tends to work a little better with oily skin, you know, regardless. So I might be okay in that department. Alright, so we have the start of our complexion down. And we're going to be moving into blush, bronzer, all that good stuff. So for bronzer, we have the Lovecraft Beauty Bronzer Trio palette, which I like. If I use bronzer, this is usually what I'm reaching for. So I'm going to take my bronzer brush and tap into Cymbeline, which is the lightest shade in here. Tap off the excess. And then we're just going to build that across the cheeks here. And whenever I use this palette, I do go up onto my temple, into my hairline a little bit. It does have a more orange undertone, which again, so I don't wear bronzer a whole lot, because I just haven't found one that's like perfect for me and doesn't look too dark or orange or warm or weird. But this one does the trick. It's a little heavier right now than I would do in real life, because otherwise it does not show up on camera at all. So, something to keep in mind. We're gonna go up under here, try to cover that double chin. All right, now blush. Sorry, I had to stop for a second because poor Casper's stomach got upset, but for blush, I'm gonna be using the Balm AutoBalm Girl Powder in the shade Houston Street. So this little sample is, you know, what I've got, but I believe this little thing is the same size as what would come in one of their little palettes. So we're just going to take this up across the cheeks and tap back in for the other cheek. This is such a nice shade. Swatched, it looks like it would be way too light, but it just builds on the skin so effortlessly. And I'm not a blush person, so for me to say that, like, it's a good blush. Like, you can definitely see it on the face, but it doesn't look too flushed. It doesn't look overdone. Let me see. I don't know if that's washing it out a little bit, but it just looks very nice. Now, for highlighter, I'm really excited because I love these. So, we're going to be using one that I don't think I've used on camera since I got, and that is the Ofra and NikkieTutorials collab highlighter in Glazed Donut. Look at that. Okay, so we're going to take a big fluffy brush and pick up some of this. It has a mirror in here, which is really convenient. Like, oh, look at the glow. Again, said this in my last video with the highlighter I was using there. I know this might be a little too icy for everyone, but it is right at what I want. Let's see, a little more light might help with this one. So pretty. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and go into lips because my lips feel horrible and I need something on them. So for this look, I'm going to be using something that was sent to me in a BoxyCharm and I had to get a replacement scent. There's a whole video about it. It is the MAC Frost lipstick. It's like a almost metallic, and that's what we're going to be using. Maybe. Mayhaps not. Okay, that kind of helped. It's clinging to that dry patch on my lip, and I don't like that. Nope, we're gonna get a different lipstick because I don't like the way that looks on the dry patch. Sorry. Now, funny enough, I had a backup picked, but for a different reason, because I was afraid that that would clash too much with the eye look. So, for this one, we're actually, let me grab it, going in with the Huda Beauty Demi Matte in the shade SheEo. So here's the thing. This is not a normal holiday color, but since the eye look for this one is a little more intense, I figure a nude is okay. I need music. There you go. All right, we're gonna finish up the eyes real quick. So we're gonna be tapping back into first the Ace Beauty palette. We're going to get a little flat brush. We're gonna tap back into Cactus, which is that green shade we used on the top. And we're gonna take that along the outer edge here. about halfway in. And this just connects the top and bottom. So about halfway in. Do a little more on this side. All right, and then we're gonna go back to the Violet Voss Best Life palette, and we're gonna tap back into, tentatively, that Friends shade. I'm gonna use this brush, see if it picks up a little better. That's that gold. I'm trying to use a mirror in here, but it's really awkward. And we're going to just put that along the lower lash here. Okay, that's fine, because I don't want anything too intense yet. This is just enough to connect and get a little glitter down there. Definitely just got glitter in my eye. Always good. So great. All right, now for the inner corner, this is where we're gonna get a little fancy. We're gonna double dip a little. So back into the Ace Beauty palette, we're gonna get to the shade right here, Sun, which is a kind of lighter yellow gold versus Serengeti on the bottom. And we're going to tap that into the inner corner. I think it matches pretty well with picking up the gold over that blue-green. And then we're going to take the same finger and tap into Sunshine, which is this upper gold glitter in the Violet Voss palette. It has a little extra dimension in it. All right, now we're going into mascara. We're almost done. So for mascara, I'm using the Wander Beauty Mile High Club mascara. I love this mascara and the Unlashed. I think Wander Beauty makes such good mascaras, and I feel like these unintentionally fly under the radar. I've seen a few people at least give this one love, but not so much the other one. Alright, lower lashes. And then other side. I'm not even going to dip back in. I'm just twisting the wand a little bit to an area I have not used. I saw a tool that supposedly helps cover your eyelids while you're putting on mascara. I think that's kind of neat because I am the worst about getting mascara all over my eyeshadow looks. Alright, and then last but not least, we have our setting spray. I say tentatively. It is the GoldFaden MD Solution Mist RX Daily Nutrient Facial Mist. So, we're going to put this on. Same thing as before, take a dry blender and pat it in to the areas that hit a little heavier. And voila! This is the full face, high-end, holiday glam look. Let me know your thoughts down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe to see more of my content. I'll see you guys next time. Have a safe and happy holiday. Bye!